Welcome to the big kickoff League of Ireland Sports Bar with myself, Roy Shanahan, and joining me as always is Nathan Doyle. Nathan, a good night, a full night of football matches.
Yeah, it's good to have it, wasn't it? Talk about a good way to start off your bank holiday. We have a lot to get our teeth into, a lot of good Premier Division games, and the First Division in particular popped up some not only mad results, but some moments of madness as well. Looking forward to it, man. Plenty to talk about.
Yeah, well, we'll let you start off firstly because you watched the St. Pat's game earlier on while I watched the Sligo and Drogheda game. Tell us about St. Pat's and how they won that game.
Yeah, happy bunny once again. Another Friday. It's probably makes for some boring television or wherever you're watching this. I'm at my best when I'm grumpy, but look, we'll take it. I think the 3-0 scoreline overall might have flattered Pats a little bit. In fairness to Longford, I haven't watched that much this season, just haven't got much of an opportunity, and he really impressed me. I thought the hassled Pats fairly well. He put them under a lot of pressure. Aaron Dobbs in particular up top was an absolute nuisance. Even though he's not the biggest guy in the world, we put a lot of pressure in Paddy Barrett and Lee Desmond. You had Aaron Bolger coming from the midfield. He was joining up as really a second striker. So while the two of them, like I said, are not the most physically imposing players, they really did make it difficult for St. Pat's. Pat's just sort of failed to get into the rhythm which you've seen them do. The slick passing just wasn't really there today at all. But yeah, happy enough, you're not going to go into every game scoring nearly goals and being comfortable. So it was probably good to see them, get that sort of side of the game out too as well, that they're not only a team that's nice football, they are dogged when they want to be, and they will grind out results. Like, I know if you didn't see the game and you see 3-0, you just think, wow, comfortable home win for Pats. But no, it certainly wasn't that way. It was a 5-minute spell. Pats scored twice in the space of 5 minutes. Good goal by Ronan Coughlin, and one of his first touches, he came on as a sub at half time, and then an absolute peach of a goal by Chris Forrester. Pick that one out. A definite goal of the month campaign. I'd recommend checking it out.
That one.
Absolute cracking.
What did you make of Longford? Were they in the game at all at any time?
You're probably the better side, arguably, over the entire 90 minutes. Like I said, a lot of pressing. They really made it difficult for Pats. Even in the first half, while really goalkeeper was tested mostly in the first half. Longford had most of the possession. They were doing most of the pressing. Really, really impressive. It's going to be obviously a difficult season for them ahead. They're starting to drop some points now, but they do have good players there, and it's a very young side. They touched on today that the oldest player was 26 years old in the starting 11, which is extremely young. So while they're sort of at a catch-22 now, I feel, where I think even Jerry O'Brien mentioned that on commentary, do you stick with that? Do you stick with them good core of young players that are performing but just not quite getting the results? Or do you have the likes of Dean Zambrough on the bench? Do you bring these lads on and give that little bit of boost of experience? These are things that Darragh Doyle is going to have to sort out. But yeah, I think there'll be more. It wasn't a hammering here tonight, and I think that, the 3-0 scoreline will flatter Pats, but from a St. Pat's point of view, it is impressive to see, because nobody's going to turn that Longford side over much this season. They really, really are a solid team, and they're going to, it will be down there towards the end this season, but no, they will not be nobody whipping boys by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. Good start for St. Pat's. If you want to send in any comments on any League of Ireland topics at all or tonight's matches, do send them in. Nathan, what about Pats as a team now can go on to win it? Every week you started off saying that they were playing very well. Last few weeks they've kind of grinded out results. Are you happy with that, because they're able to grind out results now?
Yeah. Look, if they grind out 1-0 wins every week, it doesn't bother me. A win's a win. But these are grinding out results that we didn't see last year. So if that is an improvement, we look at like picking up points against Waterford recently, against here tonight against Longford. These are games that Pat's teams in the past 2 years would have lost or would have drew against. So while it might not be the most glamorous performances, they don't need to be all the time. And I still think European football is the expectation this season. We're coming up now, the first round of games are coming to an end now. It's still, for me, it's still early days. I think in the 15, 16, 17, 18 games, that's when you really see who's going to be challenging, So it's still early days for me for Pats to be title contenders. But Look, they're growing the results here, and that's what you need to be doing. You have a massive week coming up now. They're playing Sligo Rovers on Monday night, and then this day next week they'll be playing Shamrock Rovers once again in Richmond Park. So, look, if they can grind something out of them 2 games as well, you won't find one Pats fan that'll be giving out about the standard of play. Once you keep getting these results, it'll be happy days, because there's a real feel-good factor back around the club that hasn't been there over the past number of seasons. So I think people are starting to come on board now to what Stephen O'Donnell is trying to do, and I'm delighted for him. It's even last year I was critical myself of more so the vision of the club and the recruitment, but those have been massively improved this season. So yeah, it's definitely onward and upwards here for St. Pat's, and who knows how far they can go.
Yeah, I was watching the Drogheda and Sligo game earlier on. The co-commentator mentioned Sligo. They've got a really good side, very exciting, but can't see them challenging this year. Maybe next year is their year. And then it got me thinking, well, who does he think is going to challenge? Because Dundalk obviously got a good win tonight, but they're a little bit off the pace now, and they're really hoping that Shamrock Rovers stutter for a bit. So is he really saying that it's either Shamrock Rovers' league, or do you think people are starting to think, well, Pats have a chance this year?
Well, I have to say, even looking on Facebook and stuff after the game, it was the first week when people are genuinely asking the question, are St. Pat's title challengers? So you have to just take it at face value at the moment, don't you? They're top of the table, still unbeaten, and still looking like a side that are going to be a nightmare to play against. The performances, like it's at times it's nice and silky. It's good to watch. It's a good slow possession build-up play. But you look at games like today when it was a bit of a grind. And while it is very early days, those are sort of results that do win you titles, and they do keep you up in the upper half of the table. So there's no reason at the moment why we shouldn't really be discounting them as outright saying they're not going to win the league. It's at the top of the table. So at the moment, you can't say that. But I still will backtrack and say that I think European football has to be the expectation. I'm probably hoping as a St. Pat's fan that Shamrock Rovers can slip up, because while I still don't think it'll be as straightforward as last season, you'd hate to see it become a one-horse race again. So you'd be looking even for St. Pat's to get something out of the game next week, and to really start making it much more interesting, and to really start making Pat's more clear-cut title contenders in the minds of a lot of people, myself included. Watching the Drogheda and Sligo game, it was a really, really good game. It was end-to-end, with loads of hefty challenges in. That was from the first minute to the 85th, 86th minute, where there was tackles going in left, right, and centre. For me, I thought Sligo started really, really well, but for me, the better side, especially in the second half, were Drogheda. They really ticked over really well. It pinned Sligo back. I can't remember too many chances in the second half for Sligo. A couple of counterattacks that fizzled out to nothing. Romeo Parks didn't do a tap in the game. I think I remember one crossfield pass where I thought decent pass, but that was about it. So if I'm remembering that, and that's the only thing he did, and that's probably something now that we're starting to see in the Sligo team, is that they're not all firing at the same time. Kenny up front scored a real opportunist goal, a long shot from Ferguera, bounced in front of the keeper. Keeper kind of bounced off him, came back out, but Kenny was so composed on it. He got the ball, went around the keeper with ease, and there was no panic about it, and just slotted it in. And I loved the first thing that I seen him do was he passed the ball in. He wasn't going to celebrate, and he went after the ball, picked it up. There was others looking to celebrate. He's like, no, back to the halfway line. And this was only, after a certain amount of minutes, because they're after being 1-0 down. So it's in the first half. So he has a good mentality. I think there's something about him. When I look at today, and I look at up the centre forward, Bowes. Oh, he's gone. My name's gone. What's the centre forward for Bowes? Kelly.
God, Georgie Kelly. Keep slipping out of my mind. But when I look at Georgie Kelly and I look at Kenny, I'm looking at two players there. I'm looking at Georgie Kelly, who, he got a penalty tonight, but again, he doesn't look like Gatton's going to stick with him.
No.
As in, he's all right. Sometimes the ball's sticking and he's laying it off at the halfway line. But when it's in around the box, I'm not sure that he knows what he's going to do. Kenny looks like he's going to be an opportunist. He looks sharper. I think that's the biggest thing. I think he looks sharper. And I have a feeling he's going to be something. There's something a little different about him.
He's very mature, isn't he? Like, you forget that this guy, when you watch him play, is 17 years old. Like, I watch him against St. Pat's, and No, that's like Pat. Who did I watch him against? I think it actually was Shamrock Rovers I was watching him against. And he was really putting up against the two centre halves that night, and he was really going in hard. He's going in difficulty. But there's moments even when Sligo didn't have the ball, and I think it's natural for a young guy to go missing. Like, he's 17 years of age. You wouldn't begrudge him that. But he wasn't, he was dropping that bit deeper, and he was looking for the ball, and he was fine with his back to goal. Which this is things that you wouldn't normally get out of a teenager. He's sort of like hopping around on the shoulder of the last man, looking to make runs in behind. But for a teenager and for a lad that young, and he's only going to develop in himself physically and as a player. So to see him doing these things and to have these traits early on in his career, that has to be really exciting for Sligo Rover fans, because I'm in the same boat as you. I said a couple of times, not the biggest Romeo Parks fan. Comes in and out in spells, sometimes he can be nice to look at. He's bags of pace, but just no end product at all. Like I said a few times, I think he looks like a sprinter that just happens to be okay at football. But yeah, I think going forward, you have to be the most exciting for Johnny Kenny as a striker and Sligo Rovers, because he's starting out, that's his second goal now, decent enough for a young lad like that. So if he can just now develop nicely, mature well, which he seems to be, a good lad as well. So yeah, good signs for him in the early goings this season.
Yeah. First goal, to just get to see the goals, Nathan. The first goal for Drogheda, McGinty came out to claim a ball. It came out very far out into his box. If you're going to come out that far, you have to claim the ball. He dropped it. He did it again in the second half, and that's just a couple of times now I've seen that happen, and not just this game. Something that he's going to have to make sure it doesn't happen, because there's opportunists out there, and you just can't. You'll get in. What'll happen is you'll have centre backs who know now that he's going to drop a ball. Centre forwards who know he's going to drop the ball, and then it's just a fight to see who can get there first before there's an empty goal to tap it into. But today, that's exactly what happened, and it's just something that on his game. Don't take away from the rest of his game. The rest of his game is really good. It's just one thing now. It's just becoming a weakness. And if I was an opposition manager, I'd be saying, well, knock it in there. Let's see what he's made of.
Yeah, and it's mad. This is a guy that I praised to the end of the world last season. I thought probably behind Alan Manis, he was the best goalkeeper in the league last year. But yeah, it's becoming a regular occurrence. And look, again, he's only young. I think he's only 22 or something. So in terms of goalkeeper, that's him in his infancy. But it's something you don't want to see come into his game, because even though he is on the early days in his career, this is stuff that he's going to have to snap out, whether it be a confidence issue, whether it be, he's still a little bit unsure about the back four in front of him. There wasn't too many changes. Like, your man Shane Blaney came in. He's looked okay. He hasn't impressed me a lot now, I have to say, at left back. So I'm not sure if it's a confidence issue in himself or he was playing in front of him. But yeah, they're going to want to get that out of his game quickly, because when goalkeepers make mistakes, we all know about it, and there's plenty of poachers in this league. I know a lot of sides are struggling for consistent goal scorers, but we're seeing today, Chris Lyons, he jumped in that goal very quickly, and he's not the only one in the league. There's plenty of them around. So that's the last thing they'll want, is him to become some sort of a nagging point, because managers will pick up on that, managers will exploit that, and it will be there for the taking.
Yeah, it's just I think it's a crease that he just has to iron out, not taken away from the rest of his game, because it's not defining him either, but it's something that he definitely needs to take out of his game and focus on. One player I feel good, I knew I would. James Brown was absolutely amazing again tonight. He's just been a sensation, to tell you the truth. Just the amount of work he gets up and down, but it's not just that. His tackling is excellent as well. I'm starting to see, it's very hard to see that he won't go a little bit further, and that's going across the water, because I just think there's a nice solidness to him, and there's a purpose to him as well. I'm impressed now this year with him.
There's a bit of a James Brown fan club developing here, isn't there? I think every week me and you come on here, we sing his praises, we make a shitty little James Brown pun, and yeah. But what's not to like about the guy? Where we always talk about the modern fullback, and in this league, he's the ideal modern fullback. Excellent going forward, can pick a cross out lovely. Got a couple of goals this season to his name as well, but defensively, them duties don't go missing. Well, I'm not comparing the two. You look at someone like Alexander Arnold over in England. A player who was still is highly thought of, but sort of getting found out a little bit in his defensive duties, and we just haven't seen that at the moment with James Brown. When it comes to a one-on-one situation, he's absolutely fantastic. He's reading up the game, like players running in behind him. You never really see him caught out of position or anything. So yeah, I'm a massive fan of his, and I think I actually got a bit of stick off one of the lads that every time I come on to something like this, I seem to talk about him. But there's just, I genuinely, I know this is his fourth season in the Premier Division, but for me, he's already shaping up to be the best fullback in this league, and I think it's a pleasure to watch week in, week out.
We see a few of the results going across the bottom. Dundalk have got another victory under their belt, and maybe now it's Dundalk getting into cruise mode.
Probably, yeah. 3-0.
I know what you're going to say. It's the opposition, so you have to take that into account as well.
I know it is. But look, it is decent win for them. I think the biggest thing to be happy about was Michael Duffy getting on the score sheet. An absolute serious talent. He's at the openings account now for this season, and they're going to need people like that. They won't be down there. They won't be down the lower half of the table this season at all. I think we all said that even when it was looking bad for them. There's too much talent in the squad for them not to be up there and doing well. But now they will be delighted, and we will get on to Waterford in a second. It seems to be getting worse for them, doesn't it, as the weeks go on? But now, look, credit to Dundalk. The overseas can be a little bit of a difficult place to go. Maybe not so much this season, but maybe even in the past couple of weeks, that could have been a possible banana skin for Dundalk. Little Fives banana pun there for you, in case you're looking. And so, yeah, decent 3-0 win for them. The goals are slowly starting to come back into the game a little bit. I'm trying to think of that playing now in the next game. I think it's Longford. I think they said it at the Pats game. So, Longford on Monday night, another, you'd think, potential opportunity to get 3 points. So it could be the start. It could be the start of improving scenes at Orville Park. But yeah, it's a good win for them, and it's probably now moving on to Waterford. It's a bit of a shame to see them in this way, isn't it? Such a massive city. 3 substitutions tonight. I can't believe that when you mentioned that to me. I didn't hear that. Yeah, and is there a reason behind that? What's the reason? And I was trying to have a look, and obviously your mind goes to COVID straight away, doesn't it? But there was no announcements, nothing like that of COVID-19. There's been rumours of fallings out with the likes of Brian Murphy and Oscar Brennan. Now the club has come out and denied them rumours, but worrying times, very worrying times, and it's a shame to see. I've said it here a couple of times on the show, even this season. I think Waterford have a couple of decent players in that squad this season, and you'd hate to see the undoing of them be just happening because of off-field things instead of on-field. If you're going to get relegated, it should be on your performances on the field, not because you can only fill 3 substitutions. So, yeah, very worrying. I hope it's only a once-off. It shouldn't be happening anyway. There should be players coming up from the 19s if you're down to your bare-bones squad. But, yeah, very, very worrying indeed. And I certainly won't want to be seeing that again now next week on Monday.
Shamrock Rovers, yet again, another victory. Finn Harps, we didn't say this at the start of the season, but yet again, another defeat. But again, if you look at the times of the score, 75th and 81st minute, they obviously made it very difficult for them.
Yeah, it seems to be similar to St. Pat's. Over the spell of a couple of minutes, you got 2 goals, and that was it. We didn't get to see the game, so if anybody did, drop a comment, let us know what happened there. But yeah, Finn Harps, maybe is the bubble starting to burst a little bit now. I think that's 4 games now without a win. They only have 1 draw in there with Longford Town. So again, I think similar to when we said Dundalk were going to rise up the table. I don't think anyone expected Finn Harps. No offense, Finn Harps wasn't going to be up in the top. In the top 3.
But I think Ollie Horgan even said during the week, we are where we expected to be. In other words, we expect to win some games, we expect to lose some games. We're not expecting to be maintaining that consistency of winning those games all the time.
And yeah, I'd agree with him there. And I think they will be fine, it's just they've kept a hold of some good players this season, and players that have been there now for a couple of seasons, the likes of Barry McNamee, Mark Coyle, Dave Webster, Adam Foley, Carlos Sullivan, the list goes on. There's plenty of good players there up in Ballybuffet. So I think they will be okay, looking at the likes of Waterford and possibly Longford. So yeah, I think they'll be all right. They have a massive game coming up now on Monday night, the local rivalry against Derry City, yeah. So, this is sort of a thing where Finn Harps, they're sort of they're coming off that buzz of such a great start to the season, where we're going to get on to now in a couple of minutes, where Derry City seem to be on the up and up now, don't they?
Yeah, it's an unbelievable change around for Derry City altogether. I mean, again, you look at Bows; they have a decent side. Again, two of us watched this game. We said we'd watch it together and make sure that we had some common ground when we came on to the show. This was the one we selected. We're interested to see how Higgins did with them. What did he do with them? Did he try? Because obviously they got a win under their belt and the other week. So now all of a sudden they jump Bows in the table.
Mad, isn't it? Really is. And I was worried for them in the first 15 minutes. Bows got off to a frantic start. It was Georgia Kelly hit the post. Nathan Gartland made a little mistake. Actually, even in the first 15 minutes, his distribution was terrible. He was giving the ball away a lot, and he was really, really making unnecessary pressure for his side. There was also clearance off the line, and then obviously Georgia Kelly got the penalty and put it away. So first 15 minutes, I thought, oh God, this could be a decent win here for Bows. But credit where it's due, as soon as Bows got that goal, for me, they completely took their foot off the gas, and slowly but surely, Derry City started to come back into it. I thought Harkin in the midfield was absolutely fantastic tonight. Really pulled the strings. He set the tempo for Derry City. He got the likes of Will Patchen involved, Will Fitzgerald involved, two lads that were non-existent in the first 20 minutes. He got them into the game. Akintunde was dropping deep to find the ball. That gave David Parkhouse more freedom to sort of stay up top and be a danger man up there. Then they seemed to switch roles a bit in the second half. It was David Parkhouse then dropping a little bit deeper, and Akintunde was more of a central striker. So, yeah, plenty of good movement like that. There seems to be a bit more of a freedom to them. The one thing I praised Derry City for was that energy, and I thought the likes of Ronan Boyce brought plenty of energy to them, even under Declan Devine. So, if you can link in that energy, and they seem to have a bit more, freedom to do what to express themselves, and they have a bit of creativity, because there is some decent players there. The likes of Will Patchen will be dangerous. He seems to be the key man for them this season. So, yeah, look, they'd be delighted with that one. We had 2 wins in the bounce now. A good win last week. That was, I don't know why you pointed over there. I think last week was behind me. Good win last week against Sligo Rovers. Probably a little bit overshadowed by the Joey Endo performance. But now, nobody can overshadow them now. This was a good win. A bit of a smash and grab in the end with a late goal. But yeah, I think we've talked about Bohemians going forward and how probably fragile Georgie Kelly is for such a big guy. But we're sort of missing out on the defensive a little bit, aren't we? I think we haven't really talked about that much. And defensively tonight, they were horrendous. Like that, the equaliser from the corner to give away for me was absolutely scandalous. That's something that just should not be happening whatsoever.
No, and I think you're bang on. I think that they need to sort out why they're leaking so many goals, because if you look at the league table now, Longford on 5, Waterford on 6, Bows on 7. Now you can easily win one of those games and climb up the table, but that's 8 games and Bows have 7 points. That's not really what we thought they'd do. No matter how high you thought they were going to do and how high I didn't think they were going to go, I don't think any of us expected that they were going to have 7 points out of 8 games.
No, not at all. Not at all. And there was again, we said it a lot of times that we were probably concerned about where the goals were going to come from. Georgie Kelly got off the mark a little bit early, so you thought, that'll be covered. But for me, and I don't want to keep harking on about him, I thought Georgie Kelly was really, really poor once again tonight. I don't know about you.
There was one moment in the first half where he got the ball and he was running one-on-one at the defender, and he went to knock it around him to run past him. First of all, he didn't have the pace. And second of all, I don't know why he did that, because he was pushing the defender back anyhow. So he went before the defender committed himself. The defender didn't commit himself. So he knocked the ball by and gave the defender 3 yards of a chance to beat him. And I'm not sure he knows his role. I'm not sure. I look at Bohemians and I'm not sure, do they know what way they're playing? As in, structurally, what way are they looking to score goals? It seems to be playing off the cuff a little bit. Now, maybe I'm being a bit harsh on them here. Maybe it's just the quality isn't there that they had last year, and maybe that's just it. But it just doesn't. I don't see where the goals are coming from at the moment.
No, we don't. And it's a shame to see. Like there's always going to be positives to take out of it. For me, again, I think Ross Tierney looked lively enough tonight. I think when fans are allowed back into the ground, he's going to be the one that's going to get them off their feet, like what Danny Grant did last season. So there's no you can't even blame it on the lack of creativity, you know, like Tierney and Bort in particular, and Keith Ward again, who for me has been absolutely brilliant this season for Bohemians. When they played poorly, he's probably their standout player. So the creativity isn't an issue. There's plenty of lads in that midfield that can create these chances. It's just, again, I'm just looking at Georgie Kelly, and for such a big guy, it's strange to see him with just little to no presence whatsoever. Like, that was handy enough shift tonight for the two Derry City centre halves marking him, I thought.
Yeah, you know, it's a bit of a worry there for Bohemians. And if you look at Derry, it's interesting because it's a big contract, isn't it? He's after getting a 3.5-year contract, Rory Higgins. That kind of spells out, listen, you have 3.5 years, and we're not going to sack you no matter what's going to happen. Because, I mean, League of Ireland clubs just can't afford to be sacking managers and giving them free money. So they're going to give him a go.
I think you have to as well, don't you? I think if you're going to bring in the likes of Higgins and Quattaro in as his assistant, two lads that this is their first managerial job, you can't expect them to turn it around in one season, you know, especially with Derry City. They have a lot of good young players up there, you know. It's going to take them time to gel in together and to find a role in the team. So, yeah, this isn't going to happen. I still feel that the goal for Derry City this season should just be to stay up. Realistically, I can't see them pushing up towards European football. I think that already 2 games in, there seems to be a bit more of a spark about them. But even with the young players and the longer season, you know, when injuries and suspensions and all start coming into play, if you can stay up this season, you know, and that's it, and then look forward, then Higgins to start steadying the ship, because while he's never been a manager, he's going to be similar to O'Donnell, you know. He's well respected. A lot of lads would know him from Dundalk, and a lot of lads now would look up to him from his time as the head scout for the Ireland team. So he still is a name that will pull in people, and same with Quattaro, you know, with his League of Ireland pedigree. So these, like, while they're not going to attract the Pat Hobins and the Graham Burkes of the league, you know, there's still going to be players that are going to want to go up there and play for them. Because already in the 2 games which I've seen, Derry City are starting to play better football than what I've seen in the past year and a half, because last season they really underwhelmed me. And at the start of the season, I thought they were poison to watch. There was actually games where, you know, we'd say, we watched the Derry City game. They're like, oh, geez, just what looking forward for it. Well, already, you know, I'm after watching the 2 games now back to back, and I find them really, really enjoyable to watch. Like I said, there's more of an openness to them. There's more creativity. There's Will Patchen in particular, for me, has been an absolute standout over the last 2 games. So, yeah, here's hoping. I think for them to be looking at probably getting David Parkhouse off the mark. I don't think he's scored yet this season. So if they can start incorporating him, yeah, I think there'll be definitely more positive signs. But yeah, for me, staying up this year, it'll still be the goal.
Yeah, I think, as you said, there's a bit of improvement in the team. They've obviously got the points, which is the most important thing. There's not much in. If you look at the league table there, if you look at them, Derry, they're 3 points behind Finn Harps, who are in 4th. So it's not impossible to push on for a European spot. If that would have to be your ultimate goal there, trying to nick that 4th spot. And anything else, you know, if you're finishing 4th, 5th, or 6th, you'll probably be happy enough, as you said. The only thing is like all League of Ireland teams, is can you then keep players in the club? Because every year you're working with a team, and then you seem to be working with another team the following year. So, well, they'll have consistency with the manager. Can they get consistency with the team as well?
Yeah, it's most important, isn't it? And it's probably the hardest thing for a League of Ireland manager to do. And even if you look at sides over the past decade, even most successful sides on a consistent basis, like Dundalk, for example, it's because they keep that nucleus of a team together. You're always going to get a couple of players drifting off to other League of Ireland squads, or even over to England. And you can't begrudge players for wanting to make the move across the water and chance their arm. But yeah, I think that's the one exciting thing about Derry. Like I said, there's a couple of good young players there. It looks like Patrick Ferry on the bench. It's going to take him a bit of time. By all accounts, he's a smashing striker. Like a Voice again, another player that I mentioned a couple of times. So if you're going to keep these lads and you're going to give them their first opportunity of League of Ireland football, you're hoping maybe there, you know, they'll pay it back with that. With probably loyalty is the one word, but they're going to pay it back and stick at the club and probably trust their vision, because you're the guy that gave them the opportunity in the league. So I think that's the one thing to be hoping for, because there's a good side there, you know, there is a good side, and it'd just be a shame to see that the hard work of the likes of Higgins gone by the wayside. Because in fairness, even Derry City at the start of this season, like the likes of Paddy McCord came into the youth structure, so they are putting a real emphasis on the youth development, and that can only benefit the sides, you know. And if you can make these players homegrown instead of looking from players in other areas, you know, if you can develop these players within your club, that can only benefit you going forward in the future.
Yeah. Bray Wanderers, they absolutely hate winning, so they'll be delighted tonight. They got another 0-0 draw against Cork this time. I mean, we know Cork are going to struggle. They'll probably be happy with mid-table themselves. But Bray, again, Bray are the bows of the first division. You actually thought that Bray were going to be up there, and they probably will be at the end of it. But they're giving themselves a hell of a lot of things to do now to try and catch up on some of the others. Although with Athlone losing tonight, it's probably a point gained.
Yeah, but like that's the sixth draw, the fifth draw now, actually, sorry. And dropping points against like a Cork, the likes of Cove last week, Treat United in the opening game. I think you can take draws against the likes of Shelbourne and maybe, you know, Galway are down there, but we thought Galway would be up there, and again, they probably will be. So, but dropping points against teams that you'd expect will be below you, that just must be disappointing, especially when you consider the firepower that Bray potentially have in their squad. You know, looks like Gary Shaw, Brandon Kavanagh, who's one of the best young players in the league. So it's not like they're setting up, you know, to get these results. They went out and recruit with some good attacking players. So
I think, can I just step in there, Nathan? I think
go ahead.
Gary Shaw hasn't started games, and that's been a big problem. I think there's an injury problem there. With some sort of nerve problem or something like that, and he's struggled to be able to play, so he's coming off the bench all the time. So that's probably a big loss straight away.
Yeah, probably. That's one of the disadvantages, isn't it, of only getting to watch the 1 games. But yeah, now in fairness, like Shaw's a good player. You know, we had him at Pats ourselves, and never really got clicking. But down for the first division, you know, he's a player that you'd expect will get goals on a consistent basis, but. Yeah, it must be frustrating for Bray at the moment. You know, I think we both tipped him to be up there and thereabouts the top end of this season. But yeah, another couple of points dropped, and just they need that first win now. I think they just need to get that monkey off their back, don't you? Like it's that 7 games in now without a victory. So who knows? And I think they're playing Galway away in the next game. Going to Amy DC Park is always a difficult place to go. So. You actually wouldn't rule out another draw there, wouldn't you?
No, yeah.
You wouldn't.
Has
you
to
really
happen.
Wouldn't. Yeah.
UCD, you expected UCD to go and beat Wexford. Probably didn't expect the 6-0 hammering, and this is going to be a long season for Wexford. But UCD are up in second place, a point behind Athlone now, and they just, no matter what season you play in, UCD are consistently strong. Even if they're in the Premier Division, they're consistently strong, as in they're always given a team a game, and they're never really out of games.
Yeah, Colin Whelan with another hat-trick. That's his second hat-trick in a row. That's unbelievable, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as well, you have lads that pitch in. Dignam again popped up with a goal here today. He's a lad that pitches in on a regular basis. In fairness to Wexford, he did make it difficult on themselves. Goalkeeper Jimmy Corcoran was sent off in the first minute for picking the ball up outside his box. And then I think what's the guy's name? Sean Martin, the keeper that came on to replace him, he was then sent off in the 55th minute. So you have two goalkeepers sent off in the 1 game. So I know their friend Harry Kenny is walking down, their friend of the channel is walking down in Wexford. I say he was tearing his hair out looking at that. So while it was always going to be difficult, we always imagined Wexford would be down there this season. But talk about shooting yourself in the foot, you know. And it's just like Jimmy Corcoran, good goalkeeper, done well at the underage level at Ireland. Went to Dundalk, got some good hands-on experience, but yeah, talk about an absolute clanner, you know, not even a minute into the game and he gets sent off, and that's it. It's going to be an uphill battle, you know. They were 4-0 down going into half-time, so that could have ended up any scoreline, really. Let's be realistic about it.
Yeah. Treaty are looking to be the Invincibles this year. They may get a hell of a lot of draws to do it, but they're making it difficult for everyone else, aren't they? And that's a great draw away to the Shells.
Hell of a lot of draws and a hell of a lot of sending off. Another red card in this one. They had another down to 10 men once again. I think that was in most of the games. This is another one that seemed absolutely fantastic. You know, first of all, great draw for them, even away from looking at how they went about it. Absolutely fantastic draw. They seem like they're going to be a nightmare side to play against. And who knows, you know, with the likes of Cork City and Bray dropping points early, Galway dropping points early, they could be another one that you mentioned Derry City. Like I said, I don't think they will be up there, but you mentioned they could make a push. Treat United again could be another side that could make a push up to the playoffs by the performances. This is a great draw. Absolutely brilliant. They might, well, Shells will be definitely disappointed. They got an equaliser in the 90th minute with Ryan Brennan. Then the 95th minute, Yo-Yo Matty popped up, another goal for him. They'd be delighted. But then Treat United in the 97th minute, popping up with a late equaliser. Absolutely brilliant. Really is. Credit to them. I think we all said it before, just to see football back in Limerick is great, but to see them picking up points like this, it must justify the effort. It must justify the heartache of getting a squad together with such late notice, and absolutely brilliant. Really is. Fair play to them. Yeah, credit to them. Really, really is.
Yeah, you suppose the last game is the shock of the night. Yeah. When you look at Athlone Town performing so well, Cabinteely had been struggling somewhat. Still have 9 points on the board, but not the team that you thought they may be or may not be. But it's a fantastic win away from home. 2-1. That would have screwed your accumulator up.
Yeah, big time. Big time. Yeah, they're coming off the back of 3 defeats, 3 heavy defeats as well. I know the 3-0 was a walkover, but they're coming off the heavy defeat to UCD and a heavy defeat to Shelbourne, which you'd expect. And yeah, you would have expected that Athlone to win a comfortably and up here at home, but they went 2-0 up as well, so who knows? Again, we didn't see it. If you're not Athlone or Cabinteely fan, let us know how it went. But 2-0 up, they must be absolutely delighted with that one. And Athlone didn't even, there was an own goal as well, so massive result really is, and it's definitely the shock of the weekend. And I'm glad I didn't do a preview of the fixtures, because this would have been banker, and that would have been 2 out of 3 bankers that got beaten. So yeah, who knows? They're playing Cove Ramblers at home. Cabinteely are playing Cove Ramblers at home in the next game, so could be another potential to pick up some points there. And who knows? It's going to be a tight one this season. We said it before, and we're going to keep saying it. First division is going to be unbelievably tight this season. So if we're going to throw up some crazy results like this, who knows where the Cabinteelys and the Treaty Uniteds of the world will finish up this season. I think Wexford don't have enough. I think Cove might struggle a little bit. They put in a lot of players from the Munster Senior League, which it's going to take them a bit of time to get used to the step up in standard. So yeah, Cabinteely, Treaty United, who knows? Honestly, it'd be hard to tell.
It's a guaranteed hammering for Galway tomorrow now, with Cove probably beating them 5-0.
Yeah,
comments there.
Just my luck. Yeah, why would have gone my way? Why would
I? Just have a quick look at the fixtures now on Monday night. Drogheda Bows going to be an interesting game, because if Bows get another defeat under their wings, confidence is easily knocked out, and I'm sure confidence is a little bit short at the moment. It's very hard to get it back going again, and they could struggle this year. And with Drogheda, a bit like UCD, they're in every game. They'll get wins. They'll get from what I've seen of Drogheda so far, they're going to be fine this year. But I've seen the Bows this year, you just have that little question mark. You think they should be okay, but you can't be too sure. Shamrock Rovers, Waterford, you think that's a foregone conclusion. Longford away. Can you see Dundalk now against Longford away cruising in that one? Because Longford started off flying. Results are going against them, but although you said in tonight's game that it wasn't really all one-way traffic.
No, I don't. I realistically, I think the only game, and I even include tonight's game in it, the only game I've seen Longford getting battered pillar to post was actually against Drogheda, when Drogheda beat them 4-0. That was the only game that he looked really, really poor. Tonight included, Longford looked like a decent side. Again, they will be down the bottom end of the table, but there's some very tidy players in there. There really, really is. Again, we talked about Dobbs and Bolger, but Grimes again tonight was absolutely brilliant for them. He was really, really impressive. Dervin in the midfield, he's a nice player. He controls everything, wins the ball back in precious areas. So while I wouldn't be going out and looking me money on Longford to be winning the game or anything, I wouldn't be. Now again, look, watch Dundalk. I went and win 6-0 when I say this, but I wouldn't be expecting Dundalk to be cruising this one by any stretch of the imagination. No, they got a good 3-0 win tonight, but I don't think that paper's over the poor start. They got off the just yet. I still wouldn't say they're completely out of the water, but these are games that on paper they'll have to be winning to start pushing up the table and getting back to where they belong.
Yeah, big time. Derry City, of course, against Finn Harps. This, again, Finn Harps probably need to start getting even, any sort of a point on the board, they'd probably take a draw off you, no problem now at the moment, just to stop the rush. But Derry City, you're on a high. Finn Harps have lost a few in a row. It could be, if you were putting it in an accumulator, who would you put it?
Oh, God. Do you know what? I think I'd play a safe with a draw. I think I would. These local derbies, I think it's not really the same when fans are in attendance. When fans are there, I think form completely goes out the window. Maybe not so much behind closed doors, because there's no distraction. There's no distractions, There's nobody, there's not that burst of adrenaline by the crowd or anything, So, yeah, I think it will be a difficult game for both sides. Derry City, look, they're coming off 2 great results and they do look really, really well. But Finn Harps, while I do think they're getting rid of that perception of just being a tough team, they're turning into a decent enough football side as well. They do know how to line up and be difficult to play against, don't they? Like, sometimes you can't just get rid of that ambition of playing nice football. And when they set up to be a dogged team, there's nobody better in the league like them when it comes to being rough and being dogged. And if they line up like that here, they could definitely get a draw over.
Yeah. Of course, next, Pats and Sligo. That's how I was there. I was nearly slipping my mind there. I couldn't think who it was, but Pats and Sligo. I mean, that has to be the game of Monday, and it'd be very, very interesting to see if Sligo can put it up to Pats, because again, they haven't been spectacular in the last little while, but St. Pat's, again, you would think the St. Pat's are going to go there, and it'll be a hell of a game. But you think St. Pat's are going to go there? If anyone was to be favourite, I'd be putting Pats. Yeah,
I think so. Just about. I think it'd be a tight one. I think it'd be even probably somewhat of a stressful game, because St. Pat's, I think, showed the past couple of weeks that they're comfortable inviting pressure on and they're comfortable letting teams play in front of them. And I think they will invite Sligo on a little bit, because that's Sligo's there. That's their bread and butter is their forward attack and play. While Bolger in the midfield, he's adding that bit of a spine to the midfield. Defensively, they're not paper team, but they can still be got at. They still can be got at, Like John Mattins is a fine centre half. On his day, Ed McGinty is a good goalkeeper, but at the moment, there's no reason why you shouldn't be putting pressure on him. So, I think it'll be a stressful enough game in terms of, there'll be probably, they might outclass each other. You might just clash the styles a little bit, It might not be the most entertaining game to watch, but there's no reason why, as a Pats fan, I don't think they can go there and get all 3 points. Obviously, it'd be great to see Ronan Coughlin popping up and getting a goal against his former side. But I take anything at the moment. I think I'd take an own goal even. But even a draw on the showgrounds in the grand scheme of things wouldn't be the worst result in the world.
And it's an interesting game as well, because Sligo get beaten in that game. They've got Dundalk then on the Friday.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, they get a draw, they get a defeat, and if Dundalk beat them, then all of a sudden they're dropping quickly, So they have to make sure that they're still grabbing results off all these games, really.
Yeah, like we talked about the Finn Harps bubble possibly popping, the Sligo Rovers one from the great start they made this season. Like I said, it's just 3 bad results, they could have got beaten tonight as well. So, they'll be looking for something over. I think they struggle. I think they will. I think Pats will be a nightmare for anybody this season. I really, really do. And to take away the jersey, don't worry about that. Even by just looking at them as a football team, I think they'd be very difficult for anybody. I think the way they set up, the way that, like I said, that they're comfortable with inviting pressure, the movement from across the field, the block of avenues very well. This Chris Forrester, for me, absolute revelation this season. It's a privilege to watch him.
The goal. I was just thinking of the goal. What a classic.
Cracking. And even his second goal was lovely. We ran through players very well and tidy finish. To watch Forrester playing, it's great. He got a lot of stick last season, and I know there's stuff off the pitch, but to see him, and he is back to his best. For me, this is the best Forrester I've seen in quite a while. While at his first spell at Pats, he was known for, going forward and scoring these cracking goals on a regular basis. Now he has more of a mature game. He's sitting back, he's commanding it, he's controlling the tempo. And to see him doing that, and not only see it, but excel at it, delighted to see it. It really is. And he genuinely could be a game changer for Pats this season. When they do need someone to pull results, he could be the man to do it.
Yeah. Okay, we talked on the League of Ireland podcast, the Big Kickoff League of Ireland podcast, which you can see on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, tune in, wherever you normally get your podcasts. But we talked about Hall of Fame. Have you decided on any other one that you think might go in?
Oh, you put me in the spot here.
There's a sneeze.
Lovely.
Obviously allergic to Hall of Fames.
Yeah, so you should be. Oh God.
I seen Brian Kerr was a shout today on one of the Facebook groups. I never thought of Brian Kerr the other day. No. What do you think?
Obviously, from a Pats fan, I'd stick him in straight away. Yeah, very successful manager, winning the league titles and stuff for St. Pat's. Yeah, and he's another guy. So we talk about Ollie Horgan now all the time about how he sort of he stands for what a League of Ireland manager should be. He's passionate not only about the team but the local area. And Brian Kerr, Brian's not like world famous or anything, but he's a well regarded manager within Ireland, and everybody in Ireland would know him. But you'd still walk into Richmond Park and he's standing in the Comac on a weekly basis, So I think if you mix in his pedigree from winning league titles for St. Pat's and just the sort of passion that he has for the league, there's a fair shout to be made, I think. Yeah.
Anyway, did anyone else sort of jump into your mind? Of course, Joey Endo, we never mentioned him the other night. I can't believe we didn't mention him the other night.
I was shocked Niamh didn't mention him. He was me banker. I was like, well, Niamh's definitely got. That's why I sort of thought of Endo, and I was like, oh, maybe. Then I was like, nah, Niamh will mention Endo, so I'm not going to bother. But no, he didn't, and then he just got left out completely.
He just got left out completely, and of course with his commentary, he took up plenty of our time anyhow. So
yeah, we had to fill it, and down.
He got a bit of love from us as it was. What about Mark Rutherford?
Yeah, could do. Yeah, Mark's another one. You threw a few out on me at the last one on the podcast recording that threw me. I think Wes Houlihan was another one you threw out. Wasn't Keeley another one you threw out completely? And I was like, never even thought of these people. So yeah, Mark's another one. Yeah, Mark is another one that could go out. I just said there, I don't know if you heard, Pat Fenlon could be another one.
Pat Fenlon, yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's on both aspects then as well.
Oh, yeah, no, of course, yeah.
Playing, so
the Pats won an FAI Cup of Bowls. What did he win? 3 league titles as a manager as well.
Yeah. So you would be up there. So Brian Dunn put up Mark Rutherford. Aaron Crawley put Brian Kerr up. Dinny Lowry, Pat Dunn, Liam Coyle.
Yeah,
Joey Endo, of course. So there's a few names. I think if you're a fan of any League of Ireland club, you've got someone there that's going to represent you, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. One that I actually haven't heard mentioned, probably sentimental value, could be Ryan McBride. Purely sentimental. Yeah. I think it'd be a lovely thing to do to put him in. I'm trying to think now. Pat Morley. Could have put Pat Morley for his goal scoring prowess. Yeah, it's good. Look, we can be here all day. I'd say there's at least 3 people in each club you could be able to quick fire throw out there. It's a great one, and I really want. Like, we could have done a whole bloody podcast, and I think we didn't want to move on whatsoever. And when you sort of leave I know now we'll get off here in a couple of minutes, and I'll be downstairs like, how did I forget so and so, and how did I forget? Stressful times. But no, it'd be great to see. It'd be great to see it happen, though, wouldn't it? At some stage.
Well, we just have to set it up, so it's up to us.
We just had to get planning permission for this building, but I know like clubs do their own individual one, but to have an actual overall League of Ireland Hall of Fame, yeah, it'd be good. Good to see.
Maybe we'll talk to the Wax Museum. We'll have a Wax Hall of Fame for League of Ireland players. Okay, right, we're going to leave it there. Nathan, anyone who is looking for League of Ireland or even just sports news, go to the bigkickoff.com. It's a great League of Ireland section there that's always topped up between the League of Ireland podcasts and any writing from Nathan, Niamh and Killian, who do a lot of writing there on that. Of course, you can listen to the podcast, and as we said, on all the different platforms. And we have the League of Ireland show Sports Bar here. There's on a Friday night, and if you're interested in general football as well, you can look at the football League of Ireland football show as well. So we're always building, we're always trying to get better. And if you were interested in writing, or you're interested in being part of the team, there's always room there for you, and we'll have that chat with you and see what you're about as well. So Nathan, thanks for it's our favorite moment, Nathan. Hold on.
Oh, Jesus, no.